So what do you use a homemade taco sauce for? Well, you put together some tacos, of course, right? We have some corn tortillas, flat iron steak, which is a beautiful cut of meat for some homemade tacos. We have the sauce, of course, we have some beans, we have some rice, everything that I would want in a taco pretty much. It's really, really simple process to ferment all these ingredients. On the channel, I've done this a bunch, so I'm gonna go over it rather quickly, but if you have any questions, you can ask me a bunch of questions in the comment sections, whatever you wanna do, all right? Process is simple, so we gotta start prepping some ingredients, give them a wash, start fermenting. We have the sauce, of course, start making those tacos, and go from there.
For the sauce, we have grape tomatoes, jalapenos, yellow sweet onion, cumin seeds, and garlic. We have the ingredients. My preferred method on fermenting the ingredients is weighing out the ingredients. So you need a digital scale, a clean empty mason jar. You also need fine sea salt. You could also use kosher salt. Just make sure it is nothing but salt. No preservatives, no anti-caking agents, just salt. So after I wash the tomatoes, I take my knife and I'm cutting an X on one side of the tomatoes. This is for the brine to be able to penetrate the actual flesh of the tomato. Grab the yellow sweet onion, cut off both ends, remove that outer paper layer, cut the onion into large rough dice. We have 6 garlic cloves, give them a gentle smash on the cutting board, remove that outer paper layer. Lastly, cut the root end off. Now we have 4 jalapenos. I hold it by the stem end and cut the jalapenos into medallions. I like to inspect the inside of the jalapenos to make sure that those seeds are nice and white and just the inside of the pepper itself is nice and clean, nothing rotten. I'm pretty used to cutting up hot peppers with my bare hands, but if this bothers you, just make sure to wear some gloves. Next up, we're going to place an empty mason jar onto the scale, set up the grams, zero it out. Drop in the cumin seeds and all of those ingredients that we chopped up. That is the jalapenos, the tomatoes, the onions, and the garlic. If you need to use a meddler to push all the ingredients down, obviously that's fine too. The tomatoes releasing some of their liquid will actually help aid in the fermentation process. With filtered water, fill the jar up just to the bottom of the neck of the mason jar. Record that weight. Now we want to multiply 860 grams by 3% and get 25.8 grams. This is the amount of salt that we need in grams in order to make our brine. Being that my scale doesn't read in decimal points, I'm going to round up to the nearest whole number. Now you want to strain out the liquid into a mixing bowl, zero the scale out, and add the 26 grams of fine sea salt. Whisk in the salt to the water to fully dissolve. This is why I like using fine sea salt because it incorporates into the water really easily. Now grab your mason jar with the ingredients, push the ingredients down if necessary, and now we're going to pour that salty water solution into the jar with the ingredients. Grab some sort of a weight. I'm using an empty baby food jar that is glass, but you could also use a Ziploc bag filled with water. Drop your weight in, making sure that all those ingredients stay submerged underneath that brine level. That is called an anaerobic environment. Very important to keep those ingredients underneath that brine solution surface level. Let ferment on the countertop, room temperature, away from direct sunlight for 3 weeks. I have a spot in my pantry that stays in a temperature range of 68 to 75 degrees. After day 4 or 5, you should see signs of fermentation starting to happen. The brine solution is going to look like lazy carbonation, and there's going to be some small bubbles that may accumulate on the outside of the tomatoes and the peppers, and it should start smelling slightly acidic. Now when we're ready to make the sauce, go ahead and empty all the contents of the jar into whatever it is that you're using to blend up. I have a Nutribullet to use, but if you have a higher power blender like a Vitamix, that works exceptionally well.
I start off with filling a container about quarter to half of the way through before I start blending stuff up. Nutribullet has 6 blades on this attachment. It makes it perfect for pureeing sauces. If you have a higher power blender like a Vitamix, that would probably work a little bit better than this. Just kind of use whatever you have, because you really want to pulverize this completely. This literally is my first time making this sauce, first time tasting it. Had to wait about 3 weeks for it to ferment. Pretty excited. Fuck, I don't think I would change a single thing about that. Might be a little thick, so I'm gonna add a little bit more brine to it. Depends on what consistency you're looking for. I'm gonna definitely want to strain this out. That's an optional step too. You don't have to do that. So I'm gonna end up cooking this sauce too, but I realize that it's gonna actually kill that lactic acid bacteria. I fermented the ingredients basically for the flavor. So all you food police out there, don't cook it, doesn't matter to me. The sauce consistency looks pretty nice, but after I strain it out, it's gonna look a little different, right? So I really like storing my sauces in mason jars. They're easy to clean. I have a bunch of them. I have hoarding tendencies, I think, when it comes to mason jars. But also, you know, ferment a lot of stuff. So this is gonna stay good, you know, for probably around like 6 months or something like that. I don't have a pH meter. Mine broke. If I were to check the pH, just kind of judging off the taste of it, it's gonna be less than a 4. You know, I've made enough sauces in my lifetime that I could kind of taste how acidic something is. If you have a pH meter, test the pH of room temperature sauce, and you want it to be less than 4.6. Normally my hot sauces that have been fermented for that long, they sit around 3.4, 3.7 pH.
Now, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, cooking the sauce is optional. Put the sauce into a medium-sized stock pot. We're going to zest an entire lime and put that in. The juice of an entire lime is going to go in. Now we're going to put that stock pot onto the burner and bring it up to a quick simmer. Now we want to simmer this for 5 to 10 minutes to completely sterilize the hot sauce. Make sure you stir the sauce occasionally so that it does not burn to the bottom of the pot. Pick the leaves off of one stem for fresh oregano. Pinch the oregano in your fingers into a tight ball and run your knife through it very carefully. My recommendation is to chop fresh herbs the least amount as possible, as they have great tasting essential oils in them. The more you chop the herbs, the more you extract those essential oils, therefore diluting their flavor. Turn the heat off the sauce and place that freshly chopped oregano into the sauce and allow the sauce to cool for about 10 minutes. Let's get this taco put together. Flat iron steak, season it on all sides, salt, freshly cracked black pepper. Drop the flat iron into a preheated saute pan, 2 tablespoons of oil, drop the steaks in. The smaller steak that you see on the left is going to get seared for about 2 minutes per side. The bigger one is going to get seared on all sides, 1.5 minutes each. Flat iron is best when it's cooked rare, medium rare. When it's cooked to your liking, remove the steaks from the pan, put them on a plate and let rest for 10 minutes. Crisp up corn tortillas, preheated oil, 350 degrees, 30 to 40 seconds per side. Keep the tortillas on a paper towel lined plate to catch any oil. Cut into the rested flat iron steak against the grain into thin slices. On the tortilla, lay down some rice. Freshly cooked pinto beans, canned is okay, make sure to give them a rinse before use. Lay down 5 or 6 slices of the flat iron steak. Top the steak off with a dollop of daisy. Normally I like using avocados, they look like absolute rubbish at the store. Shredded cheddar cheese goes on top. Couple more drops of freshly squeezed lime juice. Top it all off with our beautiful homemade lacto fermented taco sauce. These are my favorite tacos to make. Of course, you can make whatever tacos it is that you like. Just know that this lacto fermented homemade taco sauce is an absolute banger. It's going to take whatever tacos it is that you're making up to the next level. Above all else, make good food, eat good food, and enjoy your day.